So having gone live at the same time everywhere in the world, it's now possible for us to remote max battles in Pokemon Go. So I wanted to take this opportunity right now to, one, learn with you and hopefully see what it takes to be able to do this. And of course, as I'm sure most of us who have been playing the game for a while know, that there's always a little bit of a risk of attempting these things just a little bit early, because Niantical issues that just continue to arise every time something's new added into the game. But very specifically, I wanted to take a look at some questions, one that I've been asking myself, and I'm sure that there will be others out there asking the same thing as well. So hopefully we'll be able to answer that here, and of course understanding at the same time that although the feature has been released, it's more than likely not at the moment in its full form. So what we see today could be different tomorrow, and if that's going to be the case, do I make another video? No, I'll add any changes down to the comments. So first off, as it has been announced on the blog, changes to max battles starting on May 19th, 2025 at 11 AM Pacific time. So that was 6 AM for us here in New Zealand. Before Gigantamax Machamp Max Battle Day, they've made it very clear that this is pretty much almost released specifically for then. Trainers will be able to join max battles remotely by using a remote raid pass and the usual number of max particles. So a T3 boss is going to cost you the usual 400, as well as a normal remote raid pass. It's quite expensive. The ability to join max battles remotely will remain in effect after the conclusion of the event. Permanent feature. Trainers who participate in max battles in person will earn more Premier Balls and XP than before. So we'll take a look at that as well during this video, and we'll test that out on a T3 battle. The limit of max particles trainers can hold will increase from 1,000 to 1,500. This maximum may increase for special events. So the first thing that happens when you click on a max battle from afar is this screen will pop up to let you know that you've hit on a power spot from afar and you can now hit it remotely. So from this point that I am sitting in now, if I go to the nearby screen, hit on battle, so you can see the holding limit has now changed to 1500, and if I click on that because I wanted to know, it doesn't look like the collection limit has increased. So we can hold more, but we can't collect more. To answer question number 2 on my list, let's go to the Big Bake Bakery, which is over there. I wanted to know if these would count towards the 10 remote limit, which is also new. If you didn't know already, the remote limit's lifted from 5 to 10, and we're getting the warning there, you can join 10 more max battles today, and this warning here actually answers another question that I had. Max particles are used only when you win. A remote raid pass will be used when the battle starts. So in other words, if I was to lose this, bye-bye remote. We have the invite a friend function there, which looks to be working as normal. So let's quickly get through this. Okay, so we've beaten the battle. I'm going to leave behind a Gengar, because why not? And our rewards remain at 7,500 XP, and we get 10 Premier Balls. No shiny on this Beldum. Okay, so that worked just fine, no issues. Let's go and find another one hit in person and see what the difference is in the XP and the balls. So we're now at our second max battle. I'm hitting this one in person, and because I'm in person, I just decided to send an invite to my friend to see if they will get it. Nice, and looks like she did. She's jumped in. Okay, that's the second battle down. So specifically they mentioned that you get more XP and Premier Balls than before. Okay, yeah, so you saw it just pop up there, plus in-person bonus, extra 2 balls, extra 2,500 XP. So it's looking like an extra 25% XP. That'll be pretty cool if that same bonus applies to Gigantamax. We'll have to wait for Machamp to see that one, but another shiny check. No shiny for me, it's almost the same CP as the last one. Okay, well, I think I'll go and find one more battle, because for now there's really only one more question I want to answer. So the last one we're going to do is this Blissey. But the main question that I wanted to answer is, can you private a lobby? And the quick answer to that seems to be no. There currently isn't an option to be able to private a lobby, unfortunately. And that's especially important to note because, especially with Gigantamax Machamp coming up this weekend, it's going to be really important for players to be able to, especially those playing in person, to be able to maintain control of their raid lobbies, and specifically who's able to join and participate in those. So in terms of the raiding invite system, max battles looks to be working the same, which means that your friends can also jump in off the friends list, which, to be honest, could be quite dangerous when it comes to doing max battles if you have random players jump in, potentially players that you have no way of making contact with. I can very quickly see that by having random players in the lobbies that we're not able to communicate with to be able to coordinate who's doing what and who's healing, who's attacking, who's tanking, it does somewhat increase the risk of there being more losses for the max battles. In-person bonus again, nice. For me, I've got goals. That extra 2,500 XP is worth it. Shiny check on Chansey, no shiny, and that's a sad IV. Okay, so as I was editing this video, I just had another thought. Is it possible to leave my Pokemon at a remote max battle that I was invited to? I just want to know, is it possible to leave your Pokemon in other countries? Nighthawk, who's invited me to this battle, isn't in another country, but he's down in Wellington, which is far enough, right? So we're going to find out very shortly. Is it possible to leave something behind to help them down there? Well, pick a Pokemon to place at this power spot to earn candy in a system battles. Tap on Zapdos. Wow, that's pretty cool. I actually really like that. If I wanted to, I could leave my Pokemon, as long as I can get invited there, I can leave my Pokemon anywhere in the world. There's a question I didn't know I wanted the answer to, but now we know. So anyway, having friends joining off the max list does increase the risk a little bit for more losses. One, because you don't have any control over who's joining the battle. For Gigantamax battles, I'm going to assume that we don't have any control over what groups those remoters are going to be assigned to. And three, I think about the situations where I've jumped into a remote raid to help a friend that sent me a raid 3 or 4 times, so obviously they've needed help. I've jumped in. It's myself and 2 others in the lobby, and I'm quite confident in my abilities when it comes to raids in terms of difficulty and how hard these things are to take down. And then once the raid starts, I find that my friends have jumped out, leaving me high and dry to try and solo this legendary raid boss, ultimately causing me to lose the remote raid pass because they won't invite me back. There's also obviously a very high risk of players losing their remote passes due to situations similar to this. So very quickly, I'm going to put up 3 suggestions of things that we can actively do to, 1, prevent losses and try and avoid ourselves losing remote raid passes. And the first I'm going to suggest is driven by the example of the city spoofer lobbies. So I'm sure it's no secret by now, but when Gigantamax battles first dropped into Pokemon Go, there was news flying all over the internet about 40-man lobbies in massive cities that were constantly failing battle after battle due to the difficulty of the Gigantamax raids. Here in New Zealand, it was Auckland CBD, which is very well known for its high spoofing activity. Same again in Sydney, Australia, and other parts of Australia, high-density cities that tend to get a lot of spoofers. And quite often, these are going to be populated by low-level accounts with Pokemon that are wrong counters, not even powered up, no extra levels to their max moves, absolutely nothing. And that was consistently resulting in tens or even hundreds times more losses than we ever saw wins. Meanwhile, I found myself in a group of only myself and 12 others that were able to successfully take down a Charizard. And that was only able to be managed because all of us were there in person, we were able to communicate. We actually lost the first battle and then stood there together and powered up our mods together. We talked of strategies. Then we all went in with better counters and we got the battle done. We saw 2 shiny Gigantamax Charizard in that very first win, which for me just drove to prove the point that we need to have control and also to be able to communicate with who we have in our lobbies. So my first suggestion is going to be turn off the share raid attendance setting in your game. And in a lot of ways, this is going to be even more for them than it is going to be for yourself, because in the end, if you're hitting these in person, you don't lose anything. But your friends, of course, yes, at their own risk, will lose a remote raid pass. And 2, if you have a bunch of friends jumping in with the wrong counters and that ultimately causes the battle to lose as well, then everyone's lost. So if you don't know how to already, I'll show you how to turn off the share raid attendance. If you go into the settings, tap on general and then scroll down to sharing, and the second option in the sharing subsection will be share raid attendance with friends. So once you disable this, you can jump into a max battle, into a raid or anything and hit them with no risk of anyone joining wanted or unwanted. Disabling that setting for yourself doesn't remove the ability for you to be able to actually see who else is doing a raid at the same time. So if you're someone that constantly jumps in off the friends list, that option's still there for you. Okay, now my second suggestion or tip, if you will, is again derived derived from that same story that I just shared a little bit earlier. And that's of course recognizing the need to be able to communicate and coordinate. In short, if you're part of an online community, whether it's through Discord or Messenger or Campfire, WhatsApp, whatever it is you guys are using these days, you're going to have a lot more success if you're able to join or invite players that you know that, one, are prepared, two, know the invites are coming, and three, that you're able to communicate with after the battle, so that if you do lose, you can talk out a plan B and give it another go with another plan if that's what needs to happen. And my last suggestion is going to be, if we can avoid it, try and avoid inviting within the last 10 minutes. And this is just purely for the fact that if anything goes wrong, you've then got time to at least try again one more time or two more times. Gigantamax Machamp Day, we're going to have battles rolling every half an hour, so inviting friends within the first 20 minutes makes it a bit safer for them. These could actually wind up being a little bit more expensive for the remote players than the in-person players might care to realise, because they're not just paying for remote raid passes. If these are players in rural areas, they're also paying for particles on top because they don't have any power spots to spin. So I guess for now, and aside from all of that good stuff, I'm pretty sure we're all mindful that it's still a very new feature, and being a new feature, there's always increasing risks that something's just going to go wrong and not work the way it should. So for the rest of that, we're going to have to wait for Gigantamax Machamp Day, and naturally I'll have another video up for that too. So for now, I want to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.